There might be disagreement on cause, there's certainly disagreement on solutions, but there's a unanimity of opinion that the United States is in the midst of a housing crisis.
We know this housing crisis is not just a local issue, it's happening nationwide.
Finding an affordable place to live in South Florida has become a crisis, with some communities declaring a state of emergency.
U.S. home price index is 47% higher. Meantime, rents are up 26% across the country since early 2020.
Even as homelessness and rental prices have hit historic highs.
According to a 2020 report by the U.S. Government Accountability Office, every $100 increase in median rent is associated with a 9% increase in the estimated homelessness rate. How troubling is that, considering that we are seeing record high inflation and soaring rents?
We've lived in communities for so long and can't even afford where we want to live at.
Rental prices are unaffordable for a record number of Americans, with half of all renters paying more than 30% of their income on rent and utilities.
Households that pay more than 30% of their monthly income for housing are considered cost burden.
In 2022, 22.4 million Americans were in that boat.
I am probably paying about 2/3 of my income in rent.
Every American deserves a safe and stable place to call home.
They're not building enough affordable housing right now because for builders, the cost of construction is so high due to high costs for land, labor, materials that they can't build affordable housing.
The underproduction of homes rise to the point where 3.8 million homes are now needed.
The more supply comes on the market, the less pressure there is on pricing.
We do have issues with capital in the sense that there's an increase in interest rates that has decreased the amount of lending that's happening.
They rely on loans from banks. Since the financial crisis, banks, particularly smaller banks, mid-sized banks, have been unable to provide enough loans.
Builders completed over 1.5 million new housing units in the 12-month period that ended in July 2024. That still wasn't enough to end a housing shortage that's a decade in the making.
The question really is, how do we fill that gap?
Housing will not become less expensive unless we build more of it. There's no way around it.
Developers have a really hard job, and they regularly work magic.
The trick is, how do you do development that's inclusive, that's equitable, that is luxury so that developers can make a profit, but also fit middle income and working class people.
And to give them the ability to buy and live in affordable housing, which is the things that our parents had the ability to do. If we want societies that people can afford, we have to build them.